Islam is the oldest recorded monotheistic religion in the Philippines. Islam reached the Philippines in the 14th century with the arrival of Muslim traders from the Persian Gulf, southern India, and the followers from several sultanate governments in the Malay Archipelago. The Muslim population of the Philippines has been reported as about 5% of the total population as of a census in 2000 and as of 2011, and as 11% in a 2012 report by the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos. While the majority of the population are Roman Catholic, some ethnic groups are Hindus, Buddhist, Animist, Protestants, and Sikhs and non-religious. History. In 1380, Karim al-Maktoum, the first Arabian trader, reached the Sulu archipelago and Jolo in the Philippines and through trade throughout the island, established Islam in the country. In 1390, the Minangkabau's Prince Raja Bagwinda and his followers preached Islam on the islands. The Sheikh Karim al-Maktoum Mosque was the first mosque established in the Philippines on Simunal in Mindanao in the 14th century. Subsequent settlements by Arab missionaries traveling to Malaysia and Indonesia helped strengthen Islam in the Philippines, and each settlement was governed by a Datu, Raja and a Sultan. Islam was introduced by Chinese Muslims, Indian Muslims, and Persians. Islamic provinces founded in the Philippines included the Sultanate of Maguindanao, Sultanate of Sulu, Sultanate of Lanao, and other parts of the southern Philippines. When the Spanish fleet led by Miguel López de Legazpi arrived in the Philippines in 1565, they were met by local daters as they traveled in the islands. Arriving in the Kingdom of Manila, a vassal state of the Sultanate of Brunei, in 1570 they were met by the Muslim Raja Suleiman III. By the next century, conquests had reached the Sulu Islands in the southern tip of the Philippines, where the population was animistic, and they took up the task of converting the animistic population to Islam with renewed zeal. By the 15th century, half of Luzon and the islands of Mindanao in the south had become subject to the various Muslim sultanates of Borneo, and much of the population in the south were converted to Islam. However, the Visayas was largely dominated by Hindu-Buddhist societies led by Rajas and Datas who strongly resisted Islam. One reason could be due to the economic and political disasters pre-Hispanic Muslim pirates from the Mindanao region bring during raids. These frequent attacks gave way to naming present-day Cebu as then Sugbo as scorched earth, which was a defensive technique implemented by the Visayans so the pirates have nothing much to loot. During the reign of Sultan Bolkiah from 1485 to 1521, the Bruneian Empire, having seen the feature of Manila as a natural port, the Brunei Sultan tried to have a part of Tondo as the incoming China trade by attacking its environs and establishing its own Sultanate of Kota, Saludong, now Manila, ruling under and giving yearly tribute to the Sultanate of Brunei as its satellite state. A new dynasty under the local Umayyad leader who accepted Islam and became Raja Salalila Raja Sulaiman I. He also started to establish a trading challenge the already rich house of Raja Lakangela in Tondo. Islam was further strengthened by the arrival of Muslim traders and from Jolo, Mindanao, Malaysia and Indonesia. Influences of Shenghi's voyages. Chinese mariner Shenghi is credited to have settled Chinese Muslim communities in Palembang and along the shores of Java, the Malay Peninsula, and the Philippines during China's early Ming dynasty. These Muslims allegedly followed the Hanafi school in the Chinese language. This Chinese Muslim community was led by Haji Yan Yingyu, who urged his followers to assimilate and take local names. Spanish encounter. Raja Suleiman was the Muslim Raja of Manila, a kingdom at the mouth of the Pasig River where it meets Manila Bay. At the time the Spanish forces first came to Luzon, Suleiman resisted the Spanish forces, and thus, along with Raja Batanda and Lakandula, was one of three Rajas who played significant roles in what was the Spanish conquest of the kingdoms of the Pasig River Delta in the early 1570s. Moro is the appellation inherited from the Spaniards for Filipino Muslims of Mindanao. The Moros seek to establish an independent Islamic province in Mindanao to be named Bangsamoro. The term Bangsamoro is a combination of an old Malay word meaning nation-state with the Spanish word Moro, which means Muslim. A significant Moro rebellion occurred during the Philippine-American War. Conflicts and rebellion have continued in the Philippines from the pre-colonial period up to the present. Other related issue with the Moro secession is the territorial dispute of Eastern Sabah in Malaysia, which claimed by the Sultanate of Sulu as their territory. The Moros have a history of resistance against Spanish, American, and Japanese rule for over 400 years. The violent armed struggle against the Japanese, Filipinos, Spanish, and Americans is considered by current Moro leaders as part of the 4 centuries-long national liberation movement of the Bangsamoro. The 400-year-long resistance against the Japanese, Americans, and Spanish by the Moro Muslims persisted and morphed into the current war for independence against the Philippine state. There is also a growing community of Filipino converts to Islam known popularly as Balik Islam, often led by former Christian missionary converts. Muslim Mindanao. Most of Muslims in the Philippines live on the island of Mindanao, the Malay Archipelago and Palawan. The autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao is the region of the Philippines that is composed of all the Philippines' predominantly Muslim provinces, namely, Basilan, Lanao del Sur, Maguindanao, Sulu and Tawi-Tawi, and the Islamic city of Marawi. It is the only region that has its own government. The regional capital is at Cotabato City, although this city is outside of its jurisdiction. Other provinces and regions with large Muslim populations, as well as a significant history with Moro Muslims, include North Cotabato, South Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat and the Zamboanga Peninsula. However, these are not part of the ARMM. Indigenous tribal art from the Philippines.